The ballroom shimmered like a cathedral built for power. Crystal chandeliers burned overhead. Silk gowns whispered across marble floors. Champagne glasses chimed softly in the hands of people who had never once worried about the price of anything. This wasn't charity. This was dominance dressed as generosity. And at the center of it all stood Victoria Han, wife of the most feared man in the city. Flawless, controlled, untouchable. She moved through the crowd like a queen inspecting her kingdom, confident in the fact that no one in that room would dare challenge her. Along the edges of the ballroom, servers moved like shadows. One of them was a quiet black waitress named Zara Cole. Plain uniform, eyes lowered, voice soft. Invisible by design. Zara had mastered the art of being unnoticed. And then came the mistake. A half-second delay, a slight tilt of the wrist. A single drop of red wine kissed the white silk of Victoria's gown. The room froze. Victoria did not yell. She smiled. And that smile was far more dangerous. The public humiliation. Silence spread like spilled ink. Nearby conversations faded. Heads turned. This was entertainment now. Power humiliating the powerless. "Do you know," Victoria asked gently, examining the stain as if it were a bug, "how much this gown costs?" Zara's voice was calm. "I'm very sorry, ma'am. I'll have it taken care of immediately." No trembling, no panic, just steadiness. That was mistake number 2. Victoria stepped closer. Too close. "Taken care of?" she repeated softly. "You think this can be taken care of?" Uneasy laughter rippled through the guests. Victoria circled her slowly, speaking to the room now. "People like this never learn unless you teach them. They forget their place." She lifted one manicured finger and tilted Zara's chin upward. The gesture was meant to degrade. But when their eyes met, Victoria paused. Zara's gaze wasn't fearful. It wasn't defiant either. It was calm, present, watching. "I am looking at you," Zara replied quietly when told to do so. A ripple moved through the crowd. This wasn't how servers behaved. Victoria's smile sharpened. The first line crossed. Victoria suddenly grabbed Zara's tray, tilted it. A glass slid off, shattered against the marble. "Oh dear," she said. "How careless." Louder laughter this time. "Clean it up," Victoria ordered. "On your knees." There it was. The humiliation ritual. Zara knelt smoothly and began gathering the broken glass with precise movements. Not rushed, not shaken, composed. Victoria watched carefully, waiting for something to break. But Zara didn't break. So Victoria escalated. The challenge. "I used to box," Victoria announced lightly. "Charity matches, self-defense." The crowd leaned in. "Why don't we turn this embarrassment into something educational?" she said sweetly. She extended her hand toward the open center of the ballroom. A demonstration. A hush fell. Zara finally lifted her gaze fully. "A demonstration of what?" she asked. "Discipline," Victoria replied. Phones began rising in the air. Recording. The circle cleared. Chairs scraped across marble. Victoria removed her heels dramatically. "You try to touch me," she said confidently. "I'll show you why that's a bad idea." A few nervous chuckles. Zara stood still. "And if I don't want to?" she asked calmly. Victoria laughed brightly. That was never an option. Some guests laughed. Some didn't. Zara nodded slowly. "And if I win?" The question sliced through the room. Victoria blinked. "You?" she laughed. "If you win, I'll donate $50,000 to tonight's charity. In your name." Polite applause. "And if I win," she continued, eyes cold now, "you apologize publicly and remember your place." Zara inhaled once. "I accept." The room shifted. The imbalance suddenly didn't feel so certain. The first strike. Victoria moved first. Confident. Controlled. A sharp slap meant more to humiliate than hurt. But Zara wasn't there. She pivoted smoothly. The slap cut through empty air. A murmur spread. Victoria recovered with a forced laugh. Quick. Good. She attacked again. This time a jab. Zara slipped inside the strike. Not backward, but forward. Her palm struck once. Precise. Controlled. Just below Victoria's collarbone. The effect was immediate. Victoria gasped sharply. Air vanished from her lungs. Her body folded slightly. Shock overtook her expression. The room froze. Phones dipped. No one laughed. Zara had already stepped back, calm, waiting. Victoria's face flushed red, not from pain, from humiliation. Victoria's smile returned, but this time it trembled. "Enough playing around," she said, circling Zara faster now. Her heels clicked against marble, her breathing sharpened. Pride had replaced performance. She lunged again. A jab, a hook, another strike. Each one cut through empty space. Zara moved like water around stone, not retreating, repositioning. Every missed blow chipped away at Victoria's authority. The illusion of control began to crack. The crowd felt it. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was exposure. The crowd turns. Victoria swung wide, frustration bleeding into her technique. Zara stepped in. A quick tap to the wrist, another to the elbow. Precise, controlled. Victoria's arm went numb instantly, fingers tingled uselessly. She cried out, sharp and involuntary. Phones lifted higher now. This wasn't humiliation of a server. This was something else. Victoria's eyes darted around the circle. She expected reassurance, laughter, support. She found none, only fascination and doubt. The takedown. Rage overtook her. She charged forward recklessly, abandoning form entirely. Zara ended it. 2 steps, a turn of the hips. Her foot slid behind Victoria's ankle. A subtle push. Victoria hit the marble hard. The sound echoed like a verdict. A collective gasp filled the ballroom. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Victoria lay sprawled, hair disheveled, breath ragged, eyes wide with something dangerously close to fear. She hadn't slipped. She had been taken down, cleanly, deliberately. Zara stood above her, not looming, not threatening, just there, balanced, calm. "Get up," she hissed, scrambling to her feet. Her gaze searched the crowd for dominance. It wasn't there anymore. The final blow. Victoria rushed blindly now. No control, no strategy, just desperation. Zara stepped inside the chaos. One short, snapping motion. Her knuckles connected just beneath Victoria's jaw. A nerve point delivered with surgical precision. Not enough to break bone. Not enough to knock her out. Enough. Victoria dropped to her knees. Silence crashed over the room. A thin line of blood traced the corner of her mouth. Zara stepped back again. Distance. Clarity. She hadn't broken a sweat. The hierarchy that had ruled the room minutes ago now lay shattered on the floor beside its enforcer. Victoria looked up, and for the first time, truly looked. In Zara's eyes, she saw no rage, no cruelty, only control. That realization crushed her. The man on the balcony. Whispers exploded across the ballroom. Phones replayed footage. Guests recalibrated everything they believed about power. But one man hadn't moved the entire time. From the balcony above, Hanyan had watched in silence. He hadn't intervened, hadn't shouted, hadn't leaned forward. He simply observed. He replayed the moment of the first strike in his mind. Not the impact, the setup, the balance, the restraint. This wasn't street fighting. This wasn't rage. This was discipline. He lifted his phone calmly. "Find out who she is," he said. Aftermath. Victoria was helped to her feet by attendants. Her elegance was gone. She didn't look at Zara again. She couldn't. The damage was already permanent. And Zara? She picked up her tray, adjusted her uniform, and returned to serving guests, as if nothing had happened. That unsettled the room more than the fight itself. By the time the gala ended, the story had already mutated. Some said the waitress had military training. Others swear she was a professional fighter. A few insisted it had to be staged. No one wanted to believe power could collapse that cleanly. But by morning, Zara's life would no longer belong to her.
Zara Cole woke before dawn. Same small apartment, same chipped coffee mug, same careful ritual of checking the locks twice before stepping away from the door. Everything felt normal. That's how she knew it wasn't. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Then a text. No message, just a single period. A test. She deleted it. At her morning diner shift, the manager pulled her aside. "Some people came asking about you," he said nervously. "Private firm. polite, intense. Zara's expression didn't change. What did you tell them? That you're a good worker, that's all. She nodded once, but inside, her mind was already moving faster. Too fast. The name that wasn't hers. Across the city, inside a secure office, a file began to build. Not under the name Zara Cole, but under another name. An old one buried years ago. Grainy footage surfaced from forgotten corners of the internet. An underground gym, concrete walls, a ring patched together with duct tape. Inside it stood a younger version of Zara, hair braided tight, eyes hollow with focus. She fought under the name Nix Carter. She didn't fight for fame. She fought for survival. She won more than she lost, until the night she didn't. The night that changed everything. Her opponent had been twice her size, illegal strikes, a referee who looked the other way, a knee shattered, ribs cracked. The fight only stopped when she couldn't stand. Her mentor carried her out that night, an old boxer with ruined hands and a razor-sharp mind. He had taught her discipline, control, restraint. He warned her what underground violence demanded. She didn't listen. 2 weeks later, someone broke his legs. They left him alive. A message. She disappeared that same night. New name, new city, invisible life. She believed invisibility meant safety. She was wrong. The first retaliation. That evening, the diner closed early. Windows smashed, tables overturned, police cruiser outside, lights off. Her manager sat on the curb, cut above his eye, shaking. Zara stood across the street in gathering dusk. She didn't cross. She didn't need to. She understood the message. Her phone rang. This time she answered. "You made quite an impression," a calm male voice said. It was Dae-Han Han. "My wife has never lost a demonstration before. I didn't touch her after she went down," Zara replied. A pause. "That," he said quietly, "is why I'm calling." There was no rage in his tone, only evaluation. "You embarrassed her publicly," he continued. "That creates problems." "Then stop them," Zara said evenly. A faint smile entered his voice. "I can stop many things, but curiosity is expensive. What do you want?" "To talk, and to make you an offer." "I'm not interested." "That's unfortunate," he replied calmly, "because others already are." The line went dead. The pressure tightens. The next morning, the office building she cleaned twice a week was shut down. Gas leak, they claimed. Desks overturned, monitor smashed, employees dismissed. Accident, they said. 2 blocks later, her phone buzzed again. A picture. Her mentor in his wheelchair, taken from across the street. A red circle drawn around his head. No caption, no threat, just proof. Zara stopped walking. The old heat rose inside her chest. The instinct to respond with fury. She forced it down. Violence born from anger was exactly what they wanted. Control was different. The fire. By nightfall, escalation came. The diner burned. Not completely, just enough to destroy the kitchen. Her manager was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. Zara stood across the street again as firefighters worked. This time she crossed. She slipped cash into the owner's coat pocket while paramedics weren't looking. Her phone rang again. But this voice wasn't Dae-Han. It was his wife, Victoria Han. Polished, smooth. "You embarrass me," Victoria said calmly. "So I reminded you how the world works." Zara said nothing. "I could keep going," Victoria continued. "Every place you touch, every person who helps you." "Where?" I asked quietly. An address followed. Industrial. Empty. Chosen for privacy, not safety. The warehouse. Zara arrived alone. The warehouse was vast and dimly lit. Dust in the air. Oil on concrete. At the center, a mat. No gowns. No chandeliers. Victoria stood waiting in simple clothes. A faint bruise still shattered her jaw. "You came," Victoria said. "You hurt people who had nothing to do with this," Zara replied. "That's leverage," Victoria said with a shrug. Zara removed her jacket slowly, folded it neatly. "I told myself if I stayed small," she said calmly, "no one else would get hurt." Victoria laughed. "That was naive." "Yes," Zara agreed softly. "It was." They stepped onto the mat. No audience this time. No applause. No illusion. "This ends tonight." Victoria's eyes hardened slightly. "Yes," she replied. "It does."
The warehouse was silent except for the hum of distant traffic. No chandeliers, no cameras, no audience hungry for humiliation. Just 2 women standing on opposite sides of a worn mat. This time, there would be no performance. Victoria attacked first. No warning, no words. She charged forward with raw aggression, fast, angry, reckless. Her first strike came heavy. The second came harder. The third was wild. Zara absorbed none of it. She moved cleanly, economically, every step deliberate. Victoria's fists met air. Concrete echoed under misdirected force. Control versus fury. Victoria swung wide. Zara redirected. A sharp strike to the wrist. Victoria hissed. A sweep of the leg. She stumbled. An elbow to the ribs, not crushing, instructive. Victoria cried out in fury. "You think you're better than me?" she snapped. Zara said nothing. Silence was more destabilizing than any insult. Victoria lunged again, pride blinding her. Zara ended it. The pin. A smooth pivot. A controlled takedown. Victoria hit the mat hard. Before she could react, Zara was on her. One knee planted beside her shoulder. One hand gripping her wrist. Twisted just enough to hurt, just enough to stop. Victoria struggled, breath ragged. "Finish it," she spat. "That's what you are, isn't it?" Zara leaned closer. Her voice was quiet. "No." She increased pressure slightly. Victoria screamed, a raw, panicked sound that echoed off steel beams. Zara could break her arm, dislocate her shoulder, end this permanently. She knew exactly how. The knowledge sat there, heavy and tempting. Images flashed in her mind. Her mentor lying broken. The underground ring. The night she ran. The years she hid. Violence always demanded more violence. That was the rule. Unless someone broke it. Zara released the pressure. Victoria collapsed, clutching her arm, gasping. Zara stood. The line drawn. "This ends now," Zara said calmly. "You pull back everyone you sent. You fix the damage. You leave the people around me alone." Victoria looked up, fury and fear battling in her eyes. "And if I don't?" Zara met her gaze, steady, clear. "Then I won't come alone next time." A beat. "And I won't stop where I did tonight." The threat wasn't loud. That made it real. Zara picked up her jacket, slung her bag over her shoulder. At the door, she paused. "I didn't destroy you," she said without turning around. "Remember that I chose not to." She stepped into the night. For the first time in years, the weight in her chest eased. Not because the world was safe, but because she had decided who she would be inside it. The fallout wasn't dramatic. No headlines, no scandals. In that world, consequences moved quietly, but they moved. Victoria stopped hosting events. Invitations went unanswered. Calls returned silence. Her name, once spoken with careful reverence, began to fade. Power, Zara had learned, was like oxygen. You only notice it when it disappeared. The rooftop. Weeks later, Zara received a message, not a summon, a request. She met Dae Han Han on a rooftop overlooking the city. No orchestra, no luxury, just wind and skyline. "You could have killed her," he said evenly. "Yes," Zara replied. "But you didn't." "No." He studied her carefully. "That choice," he said slowly, "is why you're still standing. I didn't do it for you." "I know," he replied. "That's why I respect it." There was no ownership in his tone, no control, only understanding. After that night, things shifted. Repairs were paid, threats withdrawn. Her mentor's care facility received an anonymous donation large enough to ensure comfort for life. Zara didn't thank him. She didn't need to. A new position. She stopped hiding, stopped working jobs that kept her small. She trained quietly, helped those who didn't have protection. She remained visible enough to be known, but distant enough to be untouchable. People didn't fear her. They respected her. The city adjusted around that truth. Months later, another gala filled the skyline with light. Different cause, different crowd, same hierarchy. But this time, Zara attended as a guest, dressed simply, elegantly. No uniform, no disguise. Across the room, conversation softened when people noticed her. Not because they knew her full story, but because power recognizes power. She stood by the window, city lights glittering below. For once, she allowed herself something rare, a breath without vigilance. She hadn't escaped violence. She had mastered her relationship with it. That was the victory. Not revenge, not domination. Control. The question, what happens when someone who survives brutality refuses to become brutal? Zara chose restraint over ruin. But the world doesn't ignore strength forever. Power had noticed her. Alliances had shifted. Silence was no longer her shield. So what comes next? Does someone like Zara remain independent? Or does the world eventually force her to choose a side? Because stories like this, they don't end. They evolve.